sissy, go sissy. Hey sissy, go sissy. Hey sissy,
Peace to the haters.
go
Bye,
sissy.
see you later.
Hey,
You my
sissy,
road dog.
go
Sis,
sissy.
we are greater.
Hey,
Holding
sissy,
it down, and
go
you know we stay
sissy.
true.
Hey,
Fam
sissy,
to the end
go
is how
sissy.
we do.
Hey,
Fam to the
sissy,
end
go
is how we
sissy.
do.
Hey,
Fam to the
sissy,
end
go
is how we
sissy.
do.
Hey sissy, go sissy. Hey sissy, go sissy. Go, 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 go.
We the bomb, let's go sissy.
Hey.
We the bomb, let's go sissy.
Hey.
We the bomb, let's go sissy.
Hey. What's good with y'all? I'm Danye.
And I'm Marcia, and this is the
Hey Sissy Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. Today we have a lovely guest with us, Miss Brandi Castine. Give it up, give it up, give it up. All right, Brandi is my friend of about 10 years now, a little over 10 years. Brandi is a claims adjuster with State Farm. She gets to travel whenever there's a natural disaster, so fun but not fun. And Brandi here is a new homeowner.
Woo, 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 woo.
So we've invited her on the podcast today to ask her some questions about what it's like to buy a home and own your own home.
Yes.
Shout out to Brandi, y'all.
Ooh.
She doing it out here. Thank you.
Yes, yes. All right, so the first question is, what made you want to buy a house?
The first thing that really made me want to buy a house was the fact that rent goes up every year. I'm sorry. Rent goes up every year, and there's no reasoning behind it. I mean, they say it's due to the market, but at the end of the day, you really have nothing to show for it. And if you calculate how much you've rented and how much you've paid in rent over the years, and you're still left with just your belongings and trying to find another place at the end of a lease, it just kind of makes you put things into perspective. And I just felt it was time for me at this age and at this point in my life. I'm not judging anybody else because everyone has to do what they have to do for them. But for me, it was time for me to make that move from an apartment to a house. I was ready for the transition.
And how old are you?
I am 35 years old.
She a whole adult, y'all.
Yes. Okay, let me ask you, what would make you want to buy a house?
To have my own property, to have something that, like she said, like I own. Also, to have something that, excuse me one moment.
So, what would make you want to buy a house?
So, like she was saying, to own my own home. Also, to have a place that I get to choose, you know, the layout, how it looks and design and all of that stuff. And then somewhere I can, like, you know, make my own changes. And, you know, somewhere I know that I don't have to move in a couple of years because I don't like moving. So Lawrence and I would move like every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We would go through 2 leases before we try to move because it's a hassle. So once I'm tired of doing all that, and also once we save up the money for it, find out where we want to live. Like we hadn't decided finally where we want to settle.
Mm-hmm.
And also I don't want to live in the suburbs or have an HOA. So I'm a little bit pickier. I have grand visions for my first home or whatever home I have. And also when I feel like we're in a place to like get that. Yes, I'm gonna get a home.
Okay, all right. What is the HOA? Let me start there, 'cause I don't know what that is.
An HOA is the Homeowners Association, and I do have an HOA where I am. I was against HOAs at first. There's some that are higher, mostly for townhomes. They have really ridiculously high HOAs. But with townhomes, the HOA covers the maintenance of your grass, of the upkeep of the area, if there's flowers or anything like that. It's just the main upkeep. So for homes and subdivisions, it's generally cheaper because they don't maintain your grass. You have to take care of your own lawn and yard. But they take care of like the general areas, or if there's a common area for everyone where there's a swimming pool or something like that, they take care of those maintenance issues. And so that's where your HOA fees go.
So is HOAs everywhere, or?
It varies. It's from place to place. Some of them. And then another thing with HOAs, the positive thing about HOAs is that it keeps the area looking a certain way, because if it's not within the standards of the HOA, you will get notifications and have to have like your lawn tidied up. So it keeps everything looking nice and neat, and it also keeps the value of your homes in the area pretty even with each other.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Only reason I'm against HOAs is because some of them get to be a little overzealous. They don't allow for any customizations. Like if you decide you want to have like a red door, they're like against that. There's been, cases in the news where they talk about somebody wants to have a flag and they like dictate what they can and can't do in their front yards and stuff like that. That's why I'm against it. Also, I don't know. I just don't trust somebody else dictate what I do in my home, but I do see the point in them if you do live in a subdivision. But I don't even want to live in a subdivision. Like I want land, so I wouldn't even have to worry about that. But yeah, I do. There's value, and like anything, there's downsides. So
subdivision is.
Oh, it's a collection of homes in one area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of like apartments, but spread
Yeah.
out. Yeah, with homes.
Where I used to live? Was that a subdivision?
Yeah, it was a small subdivision. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And Pearland has a lot of subdivisions. So
Okay.
where Mama lives, subdivision.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm also in the subdivision.
Oh, okay. Cool, cool. So, how long did it take you to find and buy your home?
That is a very good question. I started the process probably like 2 years ago, would you say?
Girl, I don't know.
I think
I feel like 2 or 3 years.
somewhere in that neighborhood is when I started the process the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a real estate agent, which those are very important in the home buying process. You must have a real estate agent. They do all of the paperwork and all the underlying things that you just don't have the time for the day-to-day basis with buying a home. My first realtor and I did not work out. It just was not a good match. So I always suggest going about everything prayerfully as well. She was recommended by someone and it wasn't a good match. It didn't work out for us. She showed me some homes and I got a feel for them and how the process works. And then when I found one home that I really liked, we went with that one and we put in an offer. What your realtor will then do is get comparables in the area, and that's what houses have sold for in that area recently, or the last few houses that have sold, to give you an idea of what your house should be going for.
Right.
So that you're not, overbidding or underbidding. You're kind of like in the area of where it needs to be. We did comparables at one of the houses that I put in an offer for, and when the appraisal, which is another part of the process, they appraised the home to see how much it's actually worth. The appraisal came back lower than what we were putting in on the home, and it shouldn't have been such a difference because of the comps that were in the area, but it was a great difference. It was maybe 30,000, something in
The
that
house was
neighborhood.
haunted. That's always the reason.
And the house was an investment home, so it wasn't sold by an actual person, but it was a company that came in and bought houses and fixed them up for investors.
Oh, okay.
So they wanted everything that they put into this house, and no houses like that, you don't get every penny back that you put into it as an investment.
Right.
So they weren't dodging or coming down off of the difference, and I definitely wasn't coming out of pocket with that, because when you're financing a home or going through a mortgage company or lien holder, they are not going to finance it for more than it's worth.
Oh.
So whatever that appraisal comes back as, that's what they're going to finance it for.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
So then you didn't get the first home that you put a bid on?
Correct.
So then what happened after that?
I switched real estate agents because it just was not working out with her.
Deuces.
Yeah, I had to cut ties. And then I just kind of continued on with the process. I prayed about everything as it was going on. I took a step back because I felt like that happened for a reason. It was for me to kind of sit and really reevaluate the process as a whole and educate myself on the process. And so that's what I did. There's 2 different types of loans. There's conventional, and then there's the first-time homeowners loan.
FHA.
So with those 2 different types, there's 2 different types of down payments that you would put down as well in those process. So I did a lot of research. I had my friend here, who I refer to as human Google sometimes.
Yep.
She helped me with the research as well, and just to really understand as a whole what I was getting myself into. So after I evaluated everything, I decided I need a new real estate agent. And I had another person who came recommended, and we looked at a few homes, and I liked the homes that we looked at. It just didn't work out for us timing wise because I leave a lot for work and she was doing it part-time as well. So 2 part-times don't make a whole time. It just didn't work out for our process, but shout out to her, she was awesome. My third real estate agent, third time's a charm.
Yes.
She was thebomb.com, and she's the reason I'm in the house that I'm in now. She came recommended from a coworker. So I just so happened to be picking up my work car, and I saw a coworker outside, and I talked to him. I was like, "Hey, what's going on? I heard you moved to this area." He was like, "Yeah, I love it. You know, the only thing is the commute." And I was like, "Well, yeah, nobody likes those." But he said that he said, you know, if you're I said, "I'm looking for a house. You know, let me know what's going on in your area." He said, "If you're looking for someone, I have someone for you. She's perfect. She is awesome, and I would highly recommend her." I said, "Well, send me her info." And ever since then, it was just smooth sailing. I loved everything about her. Her energy, she was very inspiring. She has an energy about her. And I'm gonna go ahead and give her a full rep out there. Her name is Mrs. Drumroll, please. Loretta Davis. Okay. She was awesome. She's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Look her up if you're looking for a home. She just came off the bat. She's been doing this for years, so she was ready to just kind of go at it. I told her what she was the first person to actually sit me down and say, "What are your do's and don'ts? What are your must-haves, and what are some things that you can vote on with the house?" And I told her what my must-haves were and some things that I could, you know, if they're nice there, right, nice to have. So after we discussed that, she pulled up the area. They normally do a map of the area and pull in everything from where you're looking. And every time we looked at houses, I would maybe give her a suggestion, or she would give me a listing of a few, and I liked the ones that I liked through the system, and she would say, "Okay, let's go and do some visits." So every time we went out to go view homes, if I gave her a suggestion of 2, she had 5 or 6 for us to look at. She was not playing. She made sure that we went out there and we really took advantage of the time, because she understood my schedule and how I really can't guarantee how long I'm going to be here, and I really don't know. So as we went on with that process, we looked at maybe 15 houses. It sounds like a lot, but once you've gotten into the string, like we may have went out for visits 2, 3, maybe 4 times. We were just hitting so many each time. And the last one, it was all, I wouldn't say happenstance, because I don't believe in that. It was all divine intervention, is how I'm going to put it, because I think that that's really how it worked out. We went to look at one house that I picked, and I had my cousin's wife with me. She was then fiance, I think.
They've been married for a while.
I think they weren't married yet, because I was still going through the process.
Didn't they get married in March?
I think so. Yeah, it wasn't much. But I didn't pick it and everything. Well, okay. She was whatever.
They may have been newly married.
Yeah. We went to brunch, and then I said, "Hey, do you mind going with me to go look at some homes?" She was like, "Sure." We looked at one. It was really cute and quaint. It was a little too big for me, though. It was an upstairs, downstairs home. It was a definite bachelor pad. There was a pool table upstairs. There's a lot going on in there. But the way it was built was kind of weird, and it didn't have a front yard per se. It had one, but there wasn't a street in front of it. It was like a green belt in between the neighbors' houses and your house.
It was like a yard?
Yeah, it was like you had your yard, and then there was like this little cute green belt that you could cross a little bridge and then be on the other side. But I didn't really understand it. So
that's cute and all, but why?
Right. So after that, we went to another area where they were still building, and it was D.R. Horton Express, I believe. And we went to look at some other homes that they were still building in another area about 5 or 10 minutes from there. They didn't have one of my must-haves on the list, which was a bathroom with a master bath with a shower and tub separate. I didn't want a shower tub combo, and I wanted it to be separate for the master bath. They didn't do that there. They didn't even do tubs and bathrooms there.
Express, they toss in them houses.
Yeah, it's quick, hit them, get them done.
Like, you need a home? Boom.
Here you go.
Ready-made home.
You get a home, you get a home, you get a home. So after that, they said that they were still building in another area, which was an area I was interested in living in. We went to that area, and it was just D.R. Horton homes. It wasn't the express ones. And I love the feel of those homes, but they weren't quite done yet. So every one that I looked at, I didn't get the full feel of it because it was still being constructed.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady that was there said that we already knew. My real estate agent was already on it once again. She knew that they were building also right across the street, a different builder. So once we looked at those, she was like, let's go look at this other builder just to see what they're talking about. We get over there, the house is completely done. I walk in and I love it.
Who was your builder?
My builder is Arturo Homes.
Okay.
They've been around for a long time, but they did a lot of private building, and then they just started doing, other things.
Okay.
But I love the home, and after we looked at it, I was like, okay, I have to decide between the two because they were around the same price point. They were literally across the street from each other. They had all of the things that I wanted in them. One would be able to be done sooner than the other one, but I was still in the lease, so I had time to decide. But I went with the one that just gave me the better feel when I went in.
Right.
And so after that was done, we started the long process of the actual purchasing and financing and lots of paperwork and things like that. But once you find a home, everything else runs really smoothly if you have good people in your pocket, which I happen to have had with my real estate agent and with my lending company. So
that's good. So how long did you save for your home?
that's a good question. I would say the process took about 2 to 3 years once I decided I wanted to purchase one. But before that, I kind of knew about what I wanted to spend on a home. And then the different down payments for conventional and for first-time homeowners. So correct me if I'm wrong. Conventional is 20% down.
Yes.
Okay.
And then first-time homeowners is
3.5%, 3.5%.
Okay.
percent down.
What is
So-
that? FHA loan, and those are typically for first-time home buyers who may want to buy a home but cannot save up to 20%.
Okay. So wait, what's conventional mean?
Conventional loans are the ones where you have a lower interest rate normally, and you put down more money on it because you're in a more stable situation.
Oh, okay. And what's FHA mean?
It's a name. So there's like Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. It may be Federal Housing Authority because I think you get a loan through the government. It's FHA.
Oh, okay.
And also one important thing to note about the FHA. I don't have a home, but Lawrence and I were looking into this, so we learned a lot about this a few years ago. Is that when you get a FHA loan with a lower interest rate, a lower percentage down, they add on a PMI, which is a property mortgage insurance. So it's basically you have to pay a little bit more for the mortgage company taking a chance with giving you a house.
Oh, okay.
Because you didn't put that 20% down, there's not a guarantee that you'll be able to pay your mortgage. So you have to pay an insurance just in case you don't pay your mortgage on time or you miss a couple of payments. That's what that insurance is supposed to cover, so they don't immediately foreclosing your home.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So I
Now,
don't need that.
I'm sorry, one thing on the PMI, you pay that with the FHA loan until you get to that 20% threshold on your home.
Oh,
Yeah.
So once you're 20% vested into that, you don't have to pay that anymore.
okay.
Yeah.
So I would get a first homeowner's loan.
Yeah, you could do that, or you could get
Or you could do
conventional. 'Cause
conventional.
You did.
I didn't do conventional, I
Okay.
ended up going FHA.
Oh, okay. I know, but 20% down.
It sounds like a lot, but if you really like buckle down and put your savings on the side, and then along the way, praise the Lord, I was getting, advances at work as well. So I just would put that to the side because I knew this was the goal at the end.
Right.
So I made a few sacrifices, maybe a few less happy hours, a few less dinners out each month, and then just keep putting that to the side, and maybe less dresses, less things like that, you know.
And also, you have to think that 20% is based on the cost of your home.
Right.
So if you're just trying to get a cute little 2-bedroom home, 20% may not be as much as a 5-bedroom, 5,000 square foot house.
So, okay. So you are getting a loan for the full price of the house?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then you're paying the mortgage company back for financing your home for you.
Oh, okay. So wait, whatever you put down though is from you. It's not from a loan.
Yeah, it's you giving it to the mortgage company, saying that basically like this is my collateral.
Oh, okay.
I'm buying this house for me, and I'm gonna pay you back. Good looking out financial company.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to your credit union for putting this down. Here's this 20%. I got you on the rest.
Okay. So what all did you have to pay for to get your home?
If you don't mind us asking, could you throw in some figures?
Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to remember because it all went really quickly at that point.
If you want to break it up between the first time and the second time, do you want to do that or just talk about it now?
Okay, well, the first time, I don't want to be real easy because it didn't go all the way through. So the first time I put down the earnest cash, which was $1,000. And then I also paid, you have to do your appraisal. So I paid for the appraisal, which was, I want to say somewhere between $250 and $500, something like that.
Now, do you get that back since you didn't get the house, or you just?
I got a portion of that back.
Oh,
I got the earnest cash back, but I did not get the appraisal money back.
Okay.
And the earnest cash is basically just saying, hey, I'm really, really interested in your house. Here's $1,000 so you can hold it for me.
Oh, okay.
So that no one else can swoop in and be like, I want this house, I'm gonna get it.
And what's an appraisal?
The appraisal is when an appraiser comes out to see what this piece of land and this house sitting on this piece of land is worth.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm learning a lot. I feel so prepared when I'm ready to buy a house.
Same.
So the first time I was out a little bit of cash, and that kind of also deterred me with what took me so long to actually go with it again. But I also just made sure I did my research and I set my money aside. I was pretty close to doing conventional with the second one with my savings, but then when I talked to my mortgage advisor, it would only have been a small difference payment-wise when I could just take that money and gradually put it on top of the house until I get to the 20%, then I won't have that PMI insurance. Or because if I would have used my nest egg that I had for that, then I would have been completely done. Like I would have had nothing afterwards. So I would have had the home with no money to furnish anything in the inside of it.
Right.
So I would have just been sitting there in some boxes like, hey,
This is
my house. This is my house. Have a seat. Welcome to the box. There you go. But
some people do it.
and some people do. I didn't want to take that route. I brought over existing furniture, and I'm kind of taking things slowly. But what a lot of people don't know, I know we were talking about this. This was another thing. Washers and dryers and refrigerators do not come with homes. You normally get your microwave and your range. Those come because they're built into the home. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why they don't feel refrigerators are built into the home or necessary, but they don't. You can purchase those through builders, but it's more expensive that way when you can just catch a sale at like Nebraska Furniture Mart or what have you, and get it that way. So I had to purchase those items. But I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. The question was,
what all did you have to pay for buying your home? So you said what you paid for the first time, now with the second time.
Okay, so for the second time, it was a new construction home. So with new construction homes, there's a lot of incentives that are rolled in for basically they're giving you incentives for you taking a chance on them because you really don't know them, and this is something new that they put up and you're sort of trusting them. So the incentives that they will give you will be, we'll give you $3,000 on your down payment, or we'll give you this much in closing costs. And with this builder, I think they were doing $3,000 in closing costs. And then the lender was one of their preferred lenders. If you go through a preferred lender, they also give incentives. There was also a bonus in there for my real estate agent, so she got something in the deal as well. And at the end, altogether, with the closing, I only brought, I want to say maybe five to six for closing.
How much do you mind saying how much you did for down payment?
That was everything. That was the down payment. They covered the closing costs. That's what it was. They covered all the closing costs.
Oh, your down payment was only $5,000 to $6,000?
Yes.
Well, high five, man. Okay, then, girl.
That's real good.
So, an important thing to note is that you don't pay a real estate agent. The seller pays the real estate agent.
Oh, okay.
Because basically they pay them because they brought you to them. So that's their responsibility to pay the real estate agent. And then another thing is the difference between when you buy a house from a builder, like Brandi said, and when you buy your house from a person who's selling their house. You not a regular person ain't gonna give you all these incentives.
Right. And then also with the regular person, you do pay the real estate fee then because it's not with the builder. The builder isn't covering that fee.
Right.
So that fee would just be rolled in with everything. And normally it depends on who it is. It's a fee to the person selling the house and a fee to the person buying the home as well.
So what's a closing cost?
The closing cost is what you have to bring to the table at the purchase of the home.
Okay.
So it might have been more than that, but I think it was maybe 12 or something, but I only had to come up with 6 because of what they had and those incentives.
Yeah.
And what they had left over. Because what they'll do is they'll use everything they can to try and buy you down into a lower mortgage rate. And they use points to buy that down. And then whatever's left from the incentives, they put that towards your cost.
So you don't have to pay closing costs ever?
No, you do.
You do.
Oh.
Yeah. Some places will have it, I guess, where they do the closing costs, but you have your down payment.
But you just said they pay for your closing costs.
They did the closing costs, and I covered a portion of it for the down payment.
So some people, it depends on the builder. Some builders will cover your whole closing costs, and some will cover none.
So wait. So do they tack that closing cost onto the price of the house since they pay for it, or you don't have to pay it at all? You hear what I'm saying?
The closing costs, right? It's all rolled in with the total loan.
Oh, so you still have to pay, you just didn't have to pay it up front.
No, they paid a certain portion.
They paid it for her, and then she paid the rest. So it's like it's rolled into the loan. So it's like, okay, say that loan is $200,000 with closing costs. Well, they paid $5,000 of that for her, and she paid the other $5,000. So technically, it's minus her loan. What they paid is not attached to her loan anymore.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Another important thing to note about closing costs is that essentially what the costs are is there's costs for the mortgage lender and all the paperwork and all the people they had to use to draw up your loan. Then there's costs for the real estate agent and costs for any like inspectors or appraisals that they had to get. That's what your closing costs are. And then there's like taxes, right? That's what those costs are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of money that goes into you getting a home. So there's a lot of people involved, and so essentially you have to pay all those people.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Man, okay. What are the financial differences between a house and an apartment?
That's a good question. I've only been there a few months now, but what I have noticed, and everyone kind of prepared me for this one, is that your bills will be higher. Because if you think about it, like I went from a 600 square foot apartment to 1,800 square foot home. So that's a big difference. 3 times the difference, actually. So, I mean, my bills aren't 3 times greater, but it is a greater cost with cooling off a whole home rather than cooling off an apartment. And then different things that little things that you just really didn't think of. I had a home security system installed, so that's an extra expense. I had to get those appliances, so those are extra expenses as well. You have to get a lawn person now because
you got grass.
Right, you have to cut it, you have to keep it up, or else you'll get a lovely HOA letter. There's just little things like that. So all in all, probably just a difference in the bills would be what I've noticed so far. Everything else has been pretty copacetic. rolling from a house to an apartment. So just the difference in the cost of a mortgage and the rent, you know, there may be a difference in that. And I'm paying more than I was in my apartment, but this is my investment. You know, this is mine when it's all said and done. So it kind of weighs out.
Because people pay the prices for an apartment that they would for a house sometimes. So yeah. So what advice do you give to homeowners?
I'm actually looking for advice from them. You can write into me if you'd like. No. To anyone that's interested in buying a home, I always suggest do your research your area. I used all of the apps that you can think of when I was looking for a home, as well as a real estate agent. So I had Realtor.com. I had like 3 or 4 of them downloaded on my phone at one point. And they are really good because they will give you the breakdown of the crime in your area and the differences in the crime. So some of them will say burglary, vandalism, stolen vehicle. All of that is a breakdown. And I think that was not Realtor. What's the other one, the main one? I'm trying to blank, but I had like 3 or 4 of them on my phone at one point. I was so glad to go and delete those apps and stop getting alerts about homes. So yeah, just make sure you do your research on your area. Drive around your area during the daytime and at night. It is very, very essential to see what your area looks like at night, because everything can look shiny and new in the daytime, and then at night, you know, things come out at night that you didn't see during the day because they were at work or they were whatever.
Is that a lady at a night on the corner?
These things are important to take. And then if you are moving with a family, then you also want to know where the closest schools are. One thing that my mom told me, which was really important, and I didn't even think of it until later, but I'm close. You want to know how close you are to the fire department, to the police department, and to the hospital. You don't want to be a 30-minute ride from the hospital if something's going on. You don't want to take those chances. So those are all things that you need to take into account. And also, like, the type of area you want to be in. So I already knew the area I wanted to be in, the type of area I wanted to be in. I just had to find that area. And kind of dig into those areas to see who was still building the way I wanted, you know, my house.
So your house was built?
Yeah, so it's a new build.
How long did it take to build?
It was already built when I found it. So that was the awesome thing about it. It was already ready to go.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Real talk though, everything you mentioned is also what I look for in an apartment. That's why I really like my apartment, even though the library is not open. It's coming soon. Library is walking distance. The fire department is on the corner. There's a park across the street from my house. I really like this place. But those are all good things you should look for in general. If you can afford to move into an area that has all that, you should definitely look for it.
Yeah. So I got a question. So do y'all think it would be smart to get a townhome or a condo or no?
It all depends on where you are in your life, like what stage of life you're in. Townhomes have their pluses and minuses, so do homes, and so do, what was the other one? Condos. A condo to me is just a glorified apartment. It's an apartment that you own. I don't see the point of condos unless you get something like in a beach resort area or something that can make money for you when you're not in it.
One of the values probably in a condo is, unlike in a home, the building still will do maintenance for you. So it's like you own it, but you don't have to worry about if your refrigerator or something goes out, the building still will maintain that for you.
Yeah.
So you can own a condo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought you had to rent condos.
No, you can own them, especially a lot of them downtown. Because if you want to live downtown and you work downtown, you can't. There's no houses down there, but there's condos. So if you don't want to have to like drive in from the suburbs, you can buy a condo and live downtown.
And you will own that condo?
Yes.
And you can rent out that condo to people?
Yes.
Okay.
Same thing with the townhome. You can rent those out as well once you've transitioned on to something else. If the townhome was your starter home. I didn't want to, me personally, I didn't want to share a wall with someone after sharing walls with people in an apartment. So that's what deterred me from townhomes. I mean, you share that solid wall with someone all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm done with sharing walls. I'm done with hearing my neighbors so closely. So I was like, a townhome isn't the look for me right now, but I mean, they have some very beautiful townhomes, and some of them are just as expensive as homes.
Oh, yes.
I've seen some gorgeous ones, and I was like, well, this is a townhome? Like, you share a wall with someone lives right here? And it's glamorous, but those are also going to cost you a pretty penny.
Yeah.
So it all just depends on what you're looking for, what fits your lifestyle.
So yeah, a townhome would be good for someone who wants a house but doesn't want to like maintain a yard, does not care about grass, and they're like, I just want a house. I don't need grass. I don't care if there's somebody next door.
I think I would want a condo. I like having that open space, because you can have like 3-4 bedrooms in a condo.
Yes.
That open space, but still not too much. You know what I'm saying? I think I would like a condo. I could still have a family in a condo.
Yeah.
It would still be cool, and knowing that I can still own it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. How can you get a return on your investment? Pretty much like build value.
This is the whole real estate market. That's just a question that they've always had. But what you can do with your research is see what's coming up in your area. My best friend recommended that to me. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And we looked into what was coming into my area to see if it would bring up the value of the homes. Anything that comes into the area is going to generate jobs. Other businesses are going to draw to higher businesses. It's also going to generate things like traffic, which you just have to deal with. But those all generate a better flow of income. And so if there's more money flowing in an area, it's going to increase the value of that area. So in my area, there's a recently built Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, Chipotle, all of these things are coming to this area. So I know that this area is kind of like on the up of some things that are getting ready to happen. So that's what you can do for building value. You can also add things to your home if you want to. Solar paneling is a way to save on your electricity as well as build value in the home. Just minor adjustments in the home. In here, if you look up there, the crown molding. Some homes don't have crown molding everywhere. Crown molding is an adjustment to your home that adds value to it.
Marble countertops. If you add in wood flooring versus carpet, if you add in any smart devices like smart thermostat or smart lighting, that also adds value to your home.
Okay, so once you own the home and you ever want to sell it, if you add things, you can
raise the
Raise
price.
the
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. You got any other questions? That's it. That was the last one. I mean, I learned a lot. I didn't know none of this, because even getting an apartment, there was some stuff I didn't know. I didn't know that you have to have renter's insurance. I didn't know that you have to get provide your own electricity.
Yep.
I didn't know that. I thought everything came included. I didn't know that you have to pay for your utilities separate. I thought it was all wrapped into one rent price. Some are,
Some are,
but most aren't. So I didn't know it was
some apartments will provide internet or cable, or like my apartment, that water's not included in my rent price, but I get charged for water and trash along with rent, so I pay it all in one bill, but they're separate charges, and then I'm responsible for the lights and internet separately. Yes.
So that answered all my questions.
So she sparked the question: homeowners insurance. Did you get that through the mortgage company, or how did you get homeowners insurance? And what do you know what it covers? Well, you probably know what it covers because you work in insurance.
Yes, I did get separate homeowners insurance, but with the type of loan, it's rolled in. So it's all coming out of that one payment that I give to my mortgage company.
Okay.
I send them one payment, they split it up to themselves, the PMI, and then the homeowner's insurance.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Because it has to be escrowed in. Now, definition of escrow.
You supposed to tell me that. What is escrow? I wanted to know what an escrow was.
Escrow is when something is rolled into one cost.
Okay.
So they give me a quote for my insurance for the year, my homeowner's insurance, and that's escrowed into my loan as a whole.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So your one mortgage payment covers insurance, mortgage, PMI, and does it also cover HOA?
Yes, for the first year, either it's covered with that or the builder took care of it. I think the builder took care of it for the first year, and then I pay for it the next year. So no, it's separate.
Okay. And what all does your homeowner's insurance cover?
There's many named perils that go with homeowners insurance.
Don't be using your insurance term. What is a named peril?
There are lots of things that are covered. I mean, I'm not an expert at it. Please check your policies. And if you don't have a policy, request one from your agent. But homeowners insurance, basically when I called in, I learned some things as well. So it covers, there's a certain amount you can get for covering contents. Which is just like with renter's insurance. It covers, the way they used to tell us is if you pick up the home and you shake it, everything that falls out, that's your content. So anything that's not attached to the home.
If it's not bolted down.
Right. Anything that can fall out, those are your contents, and that's your contents portion. That's covered by whatever amount you decide to have that covered by. And then what I did when I got the quote for the insurance, she asked some questions. I called my local agent. And she asked questions about the type of home and new build and everything like that. And so she asked the cost of the home and then the cost of the lot. So insurance will cover the home so that, Lord forbid, if anything happens and the whole home goes away, it will cover that amount. But it takes out that lot cost because if something happens and the whole home is gone, I still have the lot. I don't have to purchase that again.
Right.
It's still my land that's sitting there. I don't have anything on it, but it's my land that's sitting there, and I have to rebuild from there.
Yeah,
so they take that out of the equation so that they have the full figure of the house, and then figure out the amount of coverage you need.
Okay, that makes sense.
And recommend that to you. And it'll cover, you really need to look at your policy, and every policy is different, but it will cover hail, hail to your roof. If there's any type of water damage that has to have been through a storm created opening or something of it's actually sudden accidental damage. So it can't be something that's been leaking or going on for years because that's a maintenance issue. That's something that you are responsible for.
Right.
But if it's something that's sudden and accidental that causes damage to the home, then there's coverage for that. And then, of course, you have your deductibles. I think I was going to be talking work here, but...
You're welcome.
Your deductible is the portion of the claim that you're financially responsible for.
And an important thing to note is that homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage.
Correct. There's a separate insurance for that. And if you live in a flood zone,
AKA Houston,
you're required to have it in certain areas. They require you to cover flood, to have that flood coverage because you're in an area that's more prone to flood than others.
Okay.
So that's another thing you want to look at when you're looking into home buying. See if your home is in a flood area. Make sure you know that you're prepared for those extra expenses if it is.
Okay, one last question. I don't know if you have this or not. Isn't there an insurance that covers like your appliances inside the home, like your dishwasher, your air conditioning and stuff like that?
They do have those. I need to look into those actually. Right now I just have the extended warranties that come with the appliances that I bought. But they do have appliance insurance where if like your hot water heater or something like that goes out, they'll come out and cover the repair of it, and if it can't be repaired, they'll replace it. But there are different companies that do that. I think you can actually get that through your agents as well, your local agents. So note to self, I need to ask my agent about that.
And doesn't the builder cover your stuff for
the first year?
Okay.
The first year they cover everything, and you know, if there's anything that goes wrong with the house, it's all under their warranty for that first year.
Okay, that's good though.
Yeah.
Give you some time to save some money.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
that's it.
All right.
Anything you want to add?
Thanks for having me on the Hey Sissy Podcast.
Yes.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, so we learned a lot about buying a home. If you didn't know any of that, hopefully you learned a lot. If you're watching this on YouTube, please leave us comments below about any other questions you have about buying a house. We might get Brandi to answer it. Also, if you have any topics you would like us to talk about in a future podcast, you can email us at heysissypodcast@gmail.com. And also, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. All right. Thank you for watching the Hey Sissy Podcast. We'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.